Hello there and welcome to my page. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Sonia Renee, and today we're going to be talking about anxious attachment styles. So if you never knew they existed, they do, and I'm going to give you 5 different types of styles to see if this is something that you have and something that you may want to, work on. Okay, so let's dive right in. An anxious attachment style is attachment style that describes how individuals form emotional bonds and relationships with others, particularly in childhood. And people with anxious attachment styles often experience heightened feelings, insecurity, and anxiety in relationships. And this style typically is formed during childhood, of course, right? It's where we usually get most of these behaviors and these wounds, right? Often due to inconsistent caregiving from a primary caregiver, such as sometimes being responsive and other times neglectful and unavailable. And I don't know about you, but I know that for me growing up, my mom was emotionally unavailable. She loved me and she showed it through her deeds, but she was emotionally unavailable. And then my father was physically unavailable because he was there, but he wasn't there, if that makes sense. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And so as a child from the Gen X community, I grew up, latchkey kid, practically raised myself, learning things on my own and doing things on my own. And we weren't really allowed to express ourselves. The child had to stay in the child's place, that kind of thing. If you know, you know. So sometimes it can cause you to feel neglected and left out by somebody who's emotionally unavailable, but they don't even realize it. Right? I am Sonia Renee, and I am a speaker and author, and I speak about the invisible wound that leaves us emotionally hurt, which is abandonment trauma. And through personal development and awareness, I guide people to bounce back to live an amazing life. And so let's jump right into these different types of traits with this anxious attachment style. The first one, of course, is fear of abandonment, right? How many times do we have this fear of being left alone? Right? So people with anxious attachment often worry about being abandoned or rejected by their partner, leading to anxiety over the stability of the relationship. It doesn't matter what's going on in the relationship. There's always this feeling of waiting for the other shoe to drop, or, start to question, what you need to do, how you need to make things better. There's all these different things and dynamics and stuff that go through your head because you have this wound that's sitting in you. And because of that wound, you can find yourself harnessing the wound with the wound that they may have, locking you into that relationship. And I'll give you an example. And I'll use myself as an example. I know when I was married, I'm divorced, I'm a divorcee, but when I was married, I was an overgiver because I'm a giver by nature. I love to give, right? But I became an overgiver. So I'm giving without boundaries. I'm not knowing when to say no, or I'm not going to do that. I'm just going and doing. And he's a taker. He's taking. And I'm thinking that because I'm doing these things, because he was doing things too, but I'm thinking that because I'm doing these things, that he'll see my value. He'll see how much I do care. He see that I'm invested. Right? But it doesn't matter how much you do for someone or with someone. If it's not appreciated, it's not going to be appreciated. And no matter how much you do right for someone, if you're doing it for the wrong person, they'll never see you. And this is something that I had to learn. And again, because this is a wound that I adopted since I was a little child, since I was a little girl, being left behind, not being included, not being engaged with. So those things caused me to, once I finally had a relationship where it was engaging and we were together a lot, I thought this was great. But then over time, I started to notice that there was a pulling away, there was me giving and he's doing more taking. So the balance was not there. So you check to see if you have that different type of abandonment trait, fear of abandonment, under the anxious attachment trait. Am I a person who fears rejection? Am I a person who, I don't like when people walk away from me or leave me, or if somebody say you're going to leave me, I'm going to leave you first, just so I can protect my heart. Like, is that you? Think about that. Is that something that you do? Is that, a behavior that you have? I know I had it and didn't know I had it. I didn't even realize I was operating in a toxic trait. And I don't even really want to say a toxic trait, because even though it is a toxic trait, but it was an unhealthy trait. I'd rather say that. It was an unhealthy trait that I was not aware of until I started going through, waking up and realizing I had some wounds that I didn't even know I had, which is this for another video. We'll go into that another time. Okay. The second thing is clinginess or dependency. There may be a tendency to seek excessive reassurance from others, feeling the need for closeness to feel secure. We see this all the time, where we see people being so clingy, right? It's always up under someone. Every time that person goes somewhere they want to go, they have to go, or it's just like they just feel this need to feel secure, because maybe growing up, and again, these wounds come from childhood. Maybe they didn't feel secure in a household where they were raised. Maybe there was a lot of inconsistency, or a lot of failure, or maybe not being able to keep their word as a parent, so whatever happened, it could have caused this child to grow up to feel like they need to be with someone to feel secure, as if they couldn't stand alone on their own without somebody else, as if they need that person to survive. Difficulty trusting others is number 3. Difficulty trusting others. I know this is a big one. But listen. Let me explain this now. It's a deep-rooted fear of being hurt or betrayed, may lead to difficulty trusting others. Okay. And even if they are reliable and show signs of commitment, in reality, I want you to hear me when I say this. In reality, it's not just so much that you don't trust the other person. It's that you don't trust yourself. You don't trust yourself to make the right decisions when choosing someone, because history has shown that people you've chosen in the past, it didn't work out. You went through some trials, you went through some bad situations, you went through some hurt and pain, you went through disappointment, you went through betrayal, whatever you went through. And history says, okay, this is what I keep attracting. But when you start to do the work on yourself, when you start to do the healing work on yourself, and you attract the opposite, it starts to feel like this is too good to be true. Now be careful with that, because self-sabotage can come in, where because you don't believe it's real, because you don't believe you can have it, you start to do things to sabotage that relationship. And the other person's looking at you like you're crazy, because they're trying to figure out why you're acting like this. But in your mindset, this can't be real. This can't be real because you've never had it. You've only been able to be attracted to the trauma that you had. See, trauma attracts trauma. I'm going to say that again. Trauma bonds attract trauma bonds. So if you've always been attracted to someone who validates the trust issue in you, because maybe they are stepping out on the relationship, or maybe they are, having conversations, taking your private conversations and having them with someone else. I'm just giving some examples to think about here, because these are some of the things that actually do happen in relationships. Can I trust this person with my secrets? Can I trust this person with my truths? Can I trust this person with my heart? Can I trust this person with my deepest desires? And the question that you really want to ask yourself is, can I trust myself with my deepest desires? Can I trust myself with my secrets? Excuse me. Can I trust myself to make the right decision in choosing the right person for me, or the right friendships for me? Because it's not always an intimate relationship. Sometimes we have had some friends that we had to walk away from. And a lot of times we think, well, how did I not see this person in the beginning? How did I not see it? Because in the beginning, when you met, you both were what I call cellmates. You both were in the cell together, because you had similarities of what you did, how you walk, talk, act, you eat, your lingo, your conversation, how you move it. It all was the same. 2 peas in a pod. Right? But then, when one of you decides, I don't want to live like this anymore. I want more for myself. I want better for my children. And you start to look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, what do I need to fix about me? And you start to do the work. What happens is, the person that you were in the cell with, they hear you starting to do the work, and you going up the ladder. You raising your vibration. You getting into a higher frequency. Now they here and you here. The conversation is not the same. Y'all don't see eye to eye. Y'all don't hear each other because you're not on the same playing field. Now, one or two things can happen. They can stay where they are, or they can do the work to come up here with you, and y'all be on the same level, or they're going to stay where they are and you're going to keep rising to the top and they're going to fall off. Because some people grow up and some people just grow older. And you have to identify who those people are in your life. You have to identify if that's yourself. Right? Okay. Excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. So we have to trust, we don't trust ourselves to make the right decisions where the other person is concerned. And it's challenging relying on someone and believing them at their word because we have been disappointed so many times in the past. Remember, I said the past has shown us and reminded us what we deal with. So it's easier to isolate or not give space to that. It's easier to do that. But it's harder not to isolate and face the situation head on. See, we all say we want to heal from our past. We want to heal from our childhood wounds. We want to be better. We want to evolve. We want to live better. We want to have better. But I need you to understand something. Everything that you desire is on the other side of your trauma. I'm going to say it again. Everything that you desire is on the other side of your trauma. That spouse you want, that career you want, the house you want, the car you want, the life you want, traveling abroad, whatever it is. It's on the other side of your trauma. Somebody says, Sonia, what do you mean? It means your trauma is in the way of your destiny. You went through the hardships. You went through the pains, the pits, the valleys, the hurt. You went through all of that to learn from your mistakes, to learn lessons that you needed to learn so that you could purge all of that old junk, old way of thinking, old patterns, old way of doing things, thinking, so that you can start doing things a new way, raising your vibration, a healthier way, a happier way, a peaceful way, a way that's more harmonious. See, you can't be good to anybody else until you're good to yourself. I always say, and when I was in business, I'm going to share this too. When I was in a multi-level marketing business for like 20 years, and I built huge organizations of thousands of people. And one of the things that I would teach them is that we don't build an organization around a person. We build the person. We build the person. The person builds the team, and the team builds the market. Because if you build a community around a person who has not been mentally, physically, and emotionally ready for leadership, the whole team will fall apart. So you build up the person, you get their mind right, you get them thinking right, speaking right, acting right, doing what's right, get them in the motion of what is supposed to be done with the business, the system we have, inoculated into that, locked in, loaded, and ready to go. And now let them make the decision that they want to be a leader. And when they make the decision that they want to be a leader, now I would come in as their upline and say, okay, this is what you're going to do. So when people start to come in, they can look at that person as the power of influence. She had me as the backup, but they could look at her as a leader, and she could be effective and feel confident in being able to navigate other people through the process of the business, the industry, so that they can make the money that they want to make and live the life they want to live. Okay? Build a person builds a team, the team builds the market. It's the same thing with you and your community of your family and friends. Build yourself up first. Look at yourself in the mirror, identify who you are, fix what you don't like, and identify who you want to be. And start working towards becoming that person. Excuse me. I don't know why my throat is so dry, but I don't want to stop this video because I'm in a flow. Y'all bear with Auntie, okay? So do those things. And then when you do those things, when you build yourself up, your mindset, what you read, what you look at, what you listen to, all of that plays a part in where you are right now, right? Then where you want to go, who you want to be involved with, Heal yourself, purge, start exercising, releasing those endorphins and getting your mind right, getting your spirit right, praying more, meditating more, connecting with God more, connecting with your ancestors, whatever it is for you. Connect with what's higher than you and better than you that can guide you into everything that you're supposed to be going into in a healthy way, in a healthy manner, right? And so when you build yourself up, then you can build up the people that's around you, because now what's going to happen is you're going to become contagious to the people around you. You're going to become infectious to the people around you. And guess what? They're going to duplicate and do what you do. Because if it's not duplicatable, we just don't do it, right? That's why we all on YouTube right now doing videos, sharing what we know, sharing our wealth of knowledge, sharing our information of what we know, because we live through these things. And there's someone out there that says, wait a minute, Auntie, I'm going through that right now. I'm so glad I saw your video, because I don't know what to do. I didn't even know that this was a behavior pattern in me. Now I know what to fix. So so we just never know who we are supposed to connect with. But if you just reach one, each one reach one. That's it. Just if you just reach one, you did good. Okay, so trust issues is a lot of it has more to do with you than it does anybody else. I know I went off on a little tidget there, but I was in the flow and I wanted to get that out. So take the time to learn to trust yourself. And here's the thing. If you do make a decision about an associate, I always say people are associates because I don't jump right into friendship. A friendship has to be earned on both parts, right? So I will let somebody be an acquaintance for a while until I can watch to see how the interaction and engagement is with us on a regular basis, to see, if we should graduate from acquaintance to friendship. Okay. And I am this way now because I have gone into friendships because we click, we gel, and then next thing you know, maybe a year or years later, we just not on the same page, or maybe something could have happened and we fell out. It just depends on what the situation was. So what I want to say to you is just learn to really trust yourself and the decisions that you make. And if you do make a mistake, if you do, get betrayed by someone, don't say, oh, this is it. Oh, this is what always happens. No. Watch your words. You say, you know what? Everything good always happens to me. Even in this situation, everything good is happening for me. Let that person go and realize they're just not a part of your soul tribe. And that's okay. Let them go. Love them from over there and go on about your life. Because now you can look at yourself and you can see what's going on, and you can be triggered and not fall apart. Identify the situation for what it is and move yourself away. All right, let's move on. Emotional roller coaster. Relationships may feel intense with fluctuations between strong closeness and fears of emotional distance. This is where there's no balance. It's one extreme or the other. Either everything is wild, chaotic, and crazy, or it's calm and it's peaceful, but then you're together and everything is flowing good. You know how it is, especially in the beginning. Boy, y'all can't get enough of each other, right? In every area, you know what I'm talking about? Y'all can't get enough of each other. And then life, you just go on, and the relationship starts to get comfortable, right? You both have busy schedules. Now it's challenging to see each other as often as you did in the beginning because, you kind of got into a groove, right? Sometimes people can overthink a situation and think, okay, because he's not coming around as much or she's not coming around as much, they not feeling me like that no more. Or maybe they talking to somebody else, or you start to get into your head about all these things when probably nothing is going on. They just at work and just tired like you are, right? So sometimes we can think a situation up that's not really there and then overthink it and mind F ourselves into believing a whole narrative that didn't even happen. My old pastor used to say, sometimes we get upset about stuff that ain't even happened yet. He's so right. He's so right. If you think about it, sometimes we get so upset and get all worked up in our heads about something that hasn't even happened. So we got to be careful of what we think, because what we think is what we believe is what we speak, and what we speak is what we see. The mind is a powerful thing. And where the mind goes, the body follows. So you want to be careful about that, okay? Don't get caught up in that emotional roller coaster. Keep communication in the forefront of your relationship about how you feel about anything, so that the other person will always know how you feel, so that y'all can communicate about it and come to some type of agreement, okay? Lastly is the need for validation. And this is a big one because we see this so much, especially with social media. Individuals with an anxious attachment style often seek affirmation and approval from others to feel worthy and secure in their relationships. We see this all the time with social media. People who are posting anything, food, unless it's a food channel, it's different. But anything that they're doing, brushing their teeth, on the beach, whatever they're doing, they're posting it. And some people are doing it for attention. They're doing it for likes and validation because they didn't get it growing up. You may see it sometimes with siblings, where one sibling is always doing the most, usually that middle child, always doing the most because they want all of the attention. Any attention that the oldest gets, they want it. Any attention that the youngest gets, they want it. As if they don't get attention at all. I mean, it's just crazy to me, but I'm not the middle child, I'm the oldest, so I guess I don't understand it. However, sometimes they can get so stuck in needing someone else's approval of them to do what they do. You don't need someone's approval to do what you're going to do or say what you're going to say, especially if you're an adult. You don't need someone's approval. And so sometimes people look for that validation because it makes them feel worthy. It makes them feel special. It makes them feel like they're important. Do these things for yourself. Build your confidence up in yourself and your esteem up in yourself. That's why it's called self-esteem. That you are confident, that you are special, that you are important, that you are valuable, because you will attract who you are. You don't attract what you want. You attract who you are. Live in the truth that you want to be. Like I said, work on becoming the person that you want to be. Because as you work on becoming the person that you want to be, next thing you know, you are walking around and talking and acting like that person that you want to be. Now you'll start attracting what you desire because you're attracting who you are. People with an anxious attachment style can work on becoming more secure in their relationships through self-awareness, emotional regulation therapy, of course, like cognitive behavioral therapy or emotional focus therapy, and creating healthier patterns of communication and self-soothing. So self-awareness, we talked about this earlier, being aware, being present to see what's really going on and sitting in those feelings, and that's where emotional regulation comes in, because you have a right to sit in those feelings, regulate those feelings. Where are they coming from? How do they feel? Well, I feel like this because you said this and it made me feel like this, and I feel like this because when I was a child, this used to happen to me. So now the trigger comes from what happened to you as a child, even though it wasn't the person who did it to you that's in front of you, but you're letting them know that you acknowledge, and you want them to acknowledge that when you said this is how it made me feel. And now when you can sit with yourself and say, why did it make me feel this way? Okay, so that was the issue from back then on such and such when that happened. Okay, now I need to go back to that moment of what happened, assess it, and realize this. Here's the caveat. How a person treats you says everything about them and nothing about you. It is not your job to take on the accountability of other people's behaviors. 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, most people are projecting onto you their fears, their failures, their emotional trauma as a child. And then when you grow up with all of these trauma wounds and all of these issues that you didn't even know was being deposited in you. And so you start to live your life with the same restrictions until you come across a video or a person who you've learned from, to realize that, oh wait, I can heal this. I don't have to stay in this space. I can be better. I can do better. And that is my absolute desire for you, is to be the best you that you can be. Now, if you like this video, I would love if you would like and subscribe to my channel, share this with someone else, and let them know that there is someone out there Miss Sonia Renee, aka Auntie, who is willing to be vulnerable with you, sharing my story and sharing these tips so that you can identify if you have any of these traits, or if you're in a relationship with somebody who does, and then now you can know how to navigate yourself out of it, or to have healthy boundaries, or to walk away altogether, whatever it is that you need to do. All right, thank you so much for joining me. Again, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on my next video. Thank you, and have an amazing day.